We're joined now from Milan by former Italian Prime Minister and Economy Minister Mario Monti. Thanks very much for your time and coming on to the programme. First of all, can we take a step back regarding this whole pandemic? How well prepared would you say Italy was for the coronavirus pandemic?
I believe it was prepared like all countries, that is, without a specific preparation. And for some reason that will have to be explained one day, we have been hit by the wave coming from China considerably before other Western countries. And then, since that moment, I believe the reaction by the public authorities has been vigorous and indeed unusually vigorous for Italy, and unusually accepted and complied with by the Italian population.
Did the authorities act quickly enough?
Quickly enough is difficult to say. We don't have the system of China and the same degree of intrusiveness into private individuals' lives. And I'm very happy that we don't that. Given the different situation, I believe that the reaction has been very quick. And now I must say that from Italy, we wonder, looking at other European countries, why the reaction is being considerably slower, because they had the Italian example at hand since a few weeks already.
You say that it's being unusually well accepted. This is a bit different for Italy, but it must be a huge shock to the public. Social life is so important, football is so important, and all this has come to a sudden halt.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I believe that the good indicators of acceptance by the Italian public opinion, but also in the world at large, is that those two phenomena, which, honestly speaking, believe they are much above the law, much above governments, namely football and Formula One, in the end, they both had to realize that the public interest, public health, is more important even than them and their funds.
Now, the economy is your speciality. Even before this crisis, Italy's economy was performing badly. Growth was in decline. Tourism's now been massively hit by this. And we've also got the spectre, of course, of a knock-on effect with potential job losses, factory closures. Can Italy really bear this economically?
It won't be easy. And of course, a country that, in my view, had not been doing enough in the last 5 or 6 years to further reduce its public sector deficit, obviously does not have the same margins of maneuver than other countries. Yet, this is a situation in which temporary resort to a higher deficit, and I have the reputation of being budgetary very, very conservative. But still, in a situation like this, it's not only admissible, but I believe strictly compulsory to take up the missing demands in the markets with some public sector deficit. Also because we, like all the countries that are going to be hit by this, we will be experiencing at the same time a negative shock in demand, but also a negative shock in supply, both because workers for several weeks will not be going to their factories, for example, and also because the supply chains in a more and more integrated world, at least so far more and more integrated world, may cause ruptures in the production process.
How important are the measures announced today by the European Commission, bending the rules a bit on state aid and the budget deficit and injecting more money? How welcome is that?
That is welcome. I must say again that I have a rather disciplined and strict view of the rules. I've been myself in charge of the competition and state aid rules in Brussels many years ago, but the public opinion acceptability of the rules, without which the rules would not even be there, is enhanced, not reduced, if people can see that, yes, rules are tough normally, but there are occasions in which, like, for example, Chancellor Merkel said 2 days ago, we are going to do whatever is necessary for our public health in Germany. Then we will see the consequences on the budget, and clearly public health is above budgetary considerations.
Well, talking of public health, the World Health Organization says that Italy is entering uncharted territory, and it may have a lot to teach both the organization and the rest of the world.
Yes, I mean, I see a huge difference in this Italian crisis and the one which we experienced during the financial crisis of the Eurozone back in 2011, 2012, which I lived through being the Prime Minister of Italy. In that case, Italy was risking to receive a big contagion from Greece. The rest of Europe and the world were fearing that had we exploded, had we done default, then of course the Eurozone would have exploded and huge consequences. We were able, with the sacrifices of Italian people, to avoid that. Now, funny, if one can use this word these days, Italy is again has been the first one on the line after China in this occasion, on this occasion not Greece, and it is managing as well as possible its own plague domestically, also in order to contage as little as possible the rest of the world. But yes, the World Health Organization has praised the practices by the Italian authorities these days. And I must say, when I see some positions, declarations made by some heads of governments of other Western European countries or the United States, I am a bit amazed by the combination of slowness and perhaps wrong tonalities.
And just finally, on a personal level, how do you feel seeing the country as it is, with streets deserted and bars empty and shops closed up? What impact does that have on you?
Well, I never saw this. I was only 2 years old when the Second World War was over, and in my lifetime I've never seen anything like this. I must say that the reaction everywhere, not only by the individual citizen, has been largely disciplined and full of understanding and full of compassion and solidarity for the others. But the provision of alternatives has been good everywhere. If I take the example I know the best, Bocconi University in Milan, of which I am the president, in a matter of 3 days, put up online courses for the several hundreds of its classes, And this does not mean that we are not hit, also because we have a very high percentage of foreign students, and many of them did prefer to return home. But I mean, smart work, distance teaching, etc., are really displaying a degree of mobilization of an immobile society, which is remarkable.
Mario Monti, former Italian Prime Minister and now President of Bocconi University in Milan. Thanks very much for joining us on Euronews.
Thank you very much.